this purpose maybe ends, then burnout will kick in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes you have also different factors that just don't contribute in you feeling well about your job. Sometimes it's not only the tasks that you have, but also the resistance you get from management, for example, when you want to make things
Yeah.
in a good way, or you try to contribute in a certain way, and then you see all this resistance, or no, you just need to do what you've been asked for, and you're not asked even nicely sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to the Human Library podcast. With you, your hosts, Mehdi, Aslan, and myself, Adriano. In this episode, we're going to talk about depression and burnout in general, in your life, in workspace, etc. The reason we decided to speak about this topic is because we had a comment on our previous episode when we were talking about how to set up goals in your life, that they wanted to dig deeper, a little bit deeper, when it came to taking into consideration and focus also about burnout and depression. Before we start as well, we want to say we're not experts in psychology. We're not proper psychologists or psychiatrists. So we were going to speak on our own life experiences and what we've been through. There's two types of depressions. Well, there's many types, but the main ones, broadly speaking, is depression and clinical depression. Clinical depression is a very deep type of depression. At the end of the day, it needs to be medicated by a specialist, by a professional. And then you have the less intense type of depression that is an intense feeling of sadness. And then a burnout can be described as when you deplete your energy from doing certain things like work. You get burned out at work. That is a very actually commonality, a common thing that happens. You get burned out with your parents, with your girlfriend, or whatever. It can be used in different topics. So yeah, this is the topic. Anyone wants to start, or should I do so?
Yeah, well, I guess one of the things also is like I just wanted to also reiterate, I guess, for the listeners is that I guess the main reason kind of we're doing this is because of last episode we talked about goal setting and the quote you mentioned, hard life, easy choices, hard life.
And it was easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life.
Yeah. It's a bit of
it's okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I guess one of the fair question that arises, I guess, it's well, what if it's difficult for me to put myself in a position where I can set these big goals and like plan this, and one of the biggest obstacles to this obviously is being depressed or being as you said, intense sadness, or burnout. Right. So it's like, in this case, obviously we're not including clinical depression here because this is not something that you can control by your actions. Like, well, other than going to the doctor, to a specialist, you can't really kind of make changes in your daily, the way you routine or the way you think about your life or any kind of these things. You can't really do that to improve it magically, right? So the examples, the stories or examples that we're going to mention, and the whole discussion is around depression and burnout in a sense where you can actually do something about it, right?
And you have a little bit of control, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think we can kick it off maybe just like talking about just being in the state of depression, what it feels like, or what it's what is the experience like. Because for me personally, I can't say that I've been in the kind of classical, I guess, depression that people talk about often, which is like not wanting to get out of bed all day, or not having desire, to go out and do things or hang out with friends, or general feeling of meaninglessness, I guess, right? About life, or about the state of things. I think I've had maybe some lower degrees of it, which are easily kind of solve, like they're easy to solve, easy to tackle. I've had some moments where I felt like, okay, maybe I am a little bit depressed. Um, but it wasn't really. It was, I think, for me, it was kind of induced by a general feeling of like not being successful, or not being not achieving the goals that I want to achieve. Like actually, again, kind of related to the goal setting thing, is like I think for me it was more like, okay, I'm not doing as good as I want to do. Like I'm not really living up to my expectations of myself, and that was kind of giving me this state where I kind of don't feel motivated to do things, to like achieve stuff. I felt kind of like, okay, this is meaningless to a certain extent, and I think that's why I'm like, okay, I felt like this could be some semblance of what a full-on depression can be like, where it's just like, okay, your the obstacles ahead of you, they're just like so big in your head. At least that's what it felt like to me, where like, okay, like I don't even want to attempt to go through this, or to start tackling this. Like my motivation was very low, but that's just that's me. And I think for me, but yeah, we can talk about like how we can deal with this, but does anyone else want to share kind of their experience with it?
I can share my experience. I think I wouldn't say obviously, but gladly, it wasn't a clinical depression, and I don't think it was also like that feeling of deep sadness, like a depression. I think I felt depressed for like a week. I think that was the max. But the overall experience that I had during that phase, which was a bit dark, but it was not fully depression. It was like 4 to 5 weeks. But I remember taking 1 week just thinking, isolating myself from people, not feeling, that pleasure of going out or doing something. I was just staying home during the whole week. But I remember afterwards, I just started reacting to it. I started reflecting, okay, if I'm feeling this way because of this, how can I tackle it, or what should I do about it? And the next 4 weeks, I also isolated myself from people and from having the normal pleasures that I would do every day, like going out for coffee or meeting someone or my girlfriend back then. But I was deeply just interested in spending the whole time thinking, what is my direction in life? What is the thing that I want to do? What is the thing that I won't feel like I'm not delivering any kind of value by doing, and eliminate those. So I think it was more a period of reflection than a period in which I felt sadness. It was maybe just these times when you're super lost and you need some guidance by yourself, and just assessing your whole situation, your whole life, where you stand on in terms of finances, studies, the things that you need to improve. And it was mainly that. It was because of different bad events, but again, I wouldn't say I felt this kind of depression that I actually hear from people. I know a very good friend of mine who was clinically depressed, so if I use it as a reference, I'm nowhere close to that state back then. And even when I hear the different friends that I have, when they face not the clinical depression, but this feeling of sadness, I'm also not very close there. Maybe I had it for a few days, intense feeling, but then that was it. What about you, Adriano?
No, yeah, for me, I had a few years ago, I had a really like bad experience that basically changed literally my life and my family's life. And it took some time to progress. And then after that happened, a series of other shitty things happened, one after the other, after the other, after the other. So at some point, I was just mentally in a hole. I used to drink a lot when I was living that thing. I used to take a bunch of drugs as well, just to try to get your head out of that space. And then I don't know. It felt like I didn't think much about the future because I was like also focusing on just getting through that day. You know, just day by day. Like I managed this day. That's it. I'm not gonna think about what do I have to do to get out of this mess, or you know, like how can I get this better, or how is my life going to be or look like in the next 3 to 5 years. That didn't come through my mind. My mind was just focusing on, okay, I'm awake. I need to get through till I go back to sleep, and just do the bare minimum. You know, do the work that you need to do so you can pay rent and shit like that, and help family and whatever. Try to find to get your head out of this space where you're like just telling constantly to yourself that I don't know, it's your fault, you're stupid or shit like that. And it took a while. Honestly, for me, it took a while. It was like a bit like a deep shit. The good thing about this, there's the good thing about this is at the same time, like I think life doesn't wait for anyone. Life continues. So even though you're in a fucking hole, like shit still happens. And when shit was still happening, like for thank God, if you want to put it that way, it also pulled me with it. That helped me getting out of that state, right? But it took a while. I was not doing exercise. I was not doing shit. I was just like work and trying to finish my studies and try to like manage everything that it was going on. And then the people close to me were also experiencing this horrible shit. So there was not like a good type of support either. So I felt like I was by myself, lonely most of the time, like deep feeling of loneliness, you know? And basically that's it. Like it was intense and it took a few years, literally. Now, when I think about that time, sometimes I just feel like it's just black.
Oh.
Like I remember some feelings and I remember how I felt and the desperation and just like literally crying and shit like that. But like when I think about it, like I feel like I remember just some things that are just black. It is fucking weird, right? But then like talking about it like afterwards with my family who lived it with me as well, then it's like you start like seeing how things were a little bit out of the spectrum when you were already out of this area that was like a fucking hole. And it's intense. It's not easy. It's never easy. It's never easy because also like you don't realize it. Like at the time you're so focused on just the basic things that you don't realize like, hey, you're also not helping yourself. Like you're making it worse because your head is making it worse, but you don't realize that shit because you're not figuring it out. You're just like, you know, with the pressure on, with like, it feels like you have this lid that is like super heavy that is making your head like just look down where it's all dark. Where if you could just like figure out to move your head back up, you'll see light, but you're just seeing darkness. It is fucking weird, but yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you mentioned something about focusing on the basics. I think these are the things that were essential to you, like finishing studies. You couldn't just drop out because you're feeling that way. You were still doing some stuff. But from what I heard from people facing depression, they said even the very small tasks or basic stuff, they find it very difficult to do. Such as even taking a shower. It sounds It sounds
That was
even tough
so,
for them
do
to
this.
just get up and go do it. It's just an example.
I think people react differently on how like they focus their energy. I managed only on the basic, which literally was doing my bare minimum at the job, doing my bare minimum at my studies, and just getting through. I didn't care if I excelled or not. It was just I need to pass and that's it. I need to be there the minimum amount of time. I need to do the minimum amount of work. I need to gain the minimum amount of money so I can just
survive.
Yeah, survive. And it was literally day by day. So there was days I didn't eat. Not because I wasn't hungry, it's just it didn't came through. And I didn't think about it. I was just like I used to work in a call center at the time, and then I had an internship as well. So I had like 16 hours of work a day. And it was like, you had an hour in between. And my focus was okay, do the job, then grab my car and go to the other place and do the job. And then at night I was like, fuck, I didn't eat all day. Like I woke up at 6 in the morning to be there at 7. I just had a coffee. I drank a little bit of water, and then at night I was like, I'm not even hungry. I haven't eaten all day. And then it was like, okay, you better eat something. It was like, open the fridge. There's fucking nothing. So, fuck it. Go to sleep. Like something that nowadays I couldn't. Like it wouldn't even go through my mind. Or then like being like, okay, yeah, cool, I'm off. Like I make a little bit of money. Instead of saving it and making something out of it, it was just going there and buy a bottle of rum and just drink it by myself. But at that time, it was like, I need this. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Sorry, I just want to say something very quickly because you're talking about depression, but maybe some people would interpret this as burnout because it sounds like a lot. You were working in a call center and doing an internship. I would say that there are 3 common things between being depressed and feeling the burnout is the exhaustion, cynicism, and inefficacy. I think these are the most 3 common things between both states. But what you're talking about, because there is also like you can skip food, it doesn't matter, or the simple pleasures that you would normally do on a daily basis, they don't even cross your mind. You're just thinking as you're just in survival mode. You just wanna survive.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a burnout. But how long did it take you to get out of this state?
Fuck, I would say, I don't know, man, a while. Like it took me like maybe when shit hit the fan, and then when I was like a little bit out of the shithole, like a little bit over a year. And then when I was a little bit more stable, little by little, it took me like 2-3 years to get my shit together. So I was literally, when I know I got my shit together, it was when I started doing exercise again that I love, instead of just smoking a pack of cigarettes, for example. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. And dude, it's because also when you say about burnout, I think I had a different experience when it comes to work burnout. That for me, that's in my life, that's also a definition of burnout. And when literally when you said it, I think that's exactly, I was in survival mode. That's it. That's it. There's no better way of describing it. And then for me, burnout, we all met in the same place, and I was working in the same place, and I felt that I reached a burnout because after having daily discussions with my boss and trying to make a change in my job, in my work, and trying to make it appealing and pleasing and better for everyone, it was a point that it was like, what is this even for? Like, fuck this shit. I'm done. I'm tired. Too much energy has gone through this job that I don't want to focus it in this thing anymore. I will just focus my energy in other things. So I burned out in this job, trying to make a difference while in my mind was trying to make a difference. So for me was that, also another type of experiences I have with burnout is when I put too many things on my list. You know, when I have to do exercise 5 times a week, I need to do my 8-hour job. I need to study French. I need to read like at least 45 minutes of my book. I need to meditate 20 minutes a day. I need to eat healthy. I need to cook at home. I need to spend less. And then you put this all in a list and try to do all of this amount a day. Then I'm like, yeah, I did 1 week. I did 2 weeks. I did 3 weeks. From the fourth one, I'm like, fuck it. Then I just go in McDonald's. I need three days in a row. You know what I mean? It's like, no, man, it's because it's too much. So for me, burnout is that when you just put too much shit on your daily things and you prolong it because you want to do this amount of things for a while, that literally your body is like, dude, fuck you. Like mentally, physically, is like, you're just like, no more energy. It doesn't matter the motivation or the discipline anymore. I'm just like drained. Like I need to take a break and then just like for 2 weeks see the roof.
Yeah, it's kind of like going really hard at something and then like running really fast kind of, and then just tiring out very quickly kind of, instead of taking it more like in a sustainable way, basically, right?
I love that. This race is a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how my experiences of burnout have been. That's why now I manage a little bit my ideals and goals. You know, I don't have 15. I have 5. And if I don't manage to do one day, I'm not gonna hit myself with a hammer on the foot anymore, like I used to before, because I was like, you're inadequate, you're imbecile, like you cannot do this shit, you know, because it's your head that is talking to yourself. And it's like, dude, chill, it's okay. That for me was a burnout. What I experienced at that time is something I have never experienced before, and hopefully I will not experience after. And if I do, at least I know a little bit now. But it was a feeling of feeling miserable, like you have passed that level of feeling sorry for yourself. Like you pass that level of hatred to yourself. It becomes like, it doesn't even fucking matter, you know, like you're even contemplating horrible things, this type of things. And basically was just trying to get my head out of my ass. And you know, like just do that's what got me afloat as well. I was like, just do the basic thing, just do the minimum thing that you need to do to get by. Eventually something good or something, you know. And it was just that, man.
But also when you're in that state of mind, talking about like being depressed, when you do those basic things, I guess you're also not capable of kind of seeing the things realistically, that you are trying or you are doing something. Like you kind of see it very negatively. That you're like,
there's no positive in life. Even if the food tastes good, it's still something negative about it. It's too expensive. You know, or it's not what I wanted.
Because I think like having, usually when from outside perspective, it's not always not that bad, but in your head it's completely different story, right? Like,
is, you know, the different type of mentalities, no, like positive mentality, negative mentality, being a realist or a depressive or like an optimist. You know, when you are in a depressive, you're in a depressive mentality that literally everything fucking sucks. It doesn't matter if they grab you and put you in a beautiful view. For you, the view is going to be horrible. Because it's your mind who is...
It's looking for the negative.
It's your mind that is fucked. It's your mind that is fucked. And even though if fucked up things happen in life, and it's inevitable, it's not on your control. You know, it's gonna happen. It's what happened to me. Like, but thing is like the way you react to it. I think back at the time, the way I reacted was not the proper one, but it's the one that took me to the hole. So the hole was already dug, and I dug it deeper. And getting out of there is very difficult. I'm not gonna say it's easy. At least not in my life experience was easy. I think, honestly, for me, I think it was a matter of years, even though I didn't reach out for help. I didn't like start doing therapy or anything like that. Something that I'm starting now. Because back at the time, I didn't even think I needed it, or I couldn't afford it, or there was always an excuse. You know? So
like it's not worth it.
So I didn't even do anything to get myself out of this place. And I think that's a commonality with depression, that it's a feeling that you get accustomed to and you just embrace it. And then how you react to it, if you shut your curtains in your room and you get closed there and don't want to see anyone, or if you go out partying 16 hours a day and just find happiness at the end of the bottle, or whatever it is, like you overwork yourself and basically only is work, 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 work. However you react to it, it's still like, how do you say this? It's still like it's still like it's something that yells out depression. I cannot find the word, so I'm just gonna go with it.
But what was it like? I'm curious. How did you like relate to other people? Like, because I know that when I had that kind of a small state of being depressed, I noticed how I don't really like, I'm pretending, or like I don't care about people, kind of like I don't care about, like, people are laughing around me and stuff, but I feel like I just don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like I kind of pretend to get by, and like, so they don't really notice that I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm
Yeah, fair.
trying to like, yeah, just I'm trying to do my best to seem normal. Like nothing's happening. But probably people can still tell, because I can tell me in a kind of a normal happy state
Yeah.
versus me when I'm in that state where I'm just like, I don't talk much. Like, I don't like to exert energy because I don't feel like there's a meaning behind it, you know? I think there's a kind of a central theme for me, is like, you can work it to, is like the lack of meaning, where like you don't see meaning in the actions that you do, kind of like day to day, even as simple things as like adding an extra point when you're talking to someone, or like, let me bring this up, or like, you just, I don't care. But I'm curious, how was it like for you when, like, okay, you're in this state, you go to work, like, you know, you see people, or how was that?
Well, I don't know how to continue that, but I was gonna say something. I guess it's a little bit about empathy. Like I'm a really empathic person. I feel literally inside of me like other people's pain sometimes, and maybe it's because I've been through similar pain as well myself. And everyone's human, man. You know, I like the saying that if you go to the street, just think that everybody else is also going through some shit, that you're not the only one, and it's the same thing. I think that helped me a lot, because then you realize that everybody got something going on for themselves, and just be kind. Yeah.
I think there are two things there, because there's, first of all, when you're depressed, do you feel that, because I think it's gonna look clear to people that you're going through something, but do you try to look normal to them? Do you try to portray that everything is just fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
At least for me, it was like that.
Mm-hmm.
I kept making the same jokes, smiling all the time, but inside I was in pain.
Mm-hmm.
So
got it.
Depends on each person.
Let's go back to burnout, because you said something very, very interesting. I think I read a research. There was a research about burnout, and I think there are obviously different things that can lead you to being in that state, which is a huge overload of work, stress in the house. But one of the most common things between all the people who face that is, especially in the corporate world, is that they feel a lack of achievement and a lack of satisfaction from what they're doing. They feel like they're not adding value,
Yeah.
which is also can give you, you know, some weird feelings about what you're doing, and you start questioning, why am I even here? Just to pay the bills, and then it's gonna even add the stress more. So I think the thing that you mentioned, the things that you were trying to change in your work or in the workplace, and it didn't go well, and then because I also know you from that space, and I know you were working too much, I think the accumulation of that led to the feeling of burnout. Like I just don't want to do this. It's making me feel worse, even though I'm paying the bills with it, but I'm not getting something positive out of it.
I think it took my purpose. When I started at work, there was a very good purpose on it, and it was also very human, helping people figure out their shit, helping, like,
being of assistance,
guiding, being of service.
yeah.
Like, I like that. You know, there's a saying in Mexico that says, "El que no vive para servir no sirve para vivir." That
Of
means,
course, yeah.
I will translate it. That means he who doesn't live to serve doesn't serve to live. So I like that one, right? Because then you can find beauty in service for others. That doesn't mean you have to be a slave or anything like that. It's just the idea of the service industry. That's, at the end of the day, that's exactly what I studied, right? So, and even though I don't practice it anymore, but still. So, like, in that job, it was meaningful. It was helping people out and doing the best you could do, and helping both sides, like, of the spectrum. And then the whole purpose was to make it better for everyone. And that was basically my job, which was there was a big pressure. There was, like, very stressful at the same time, but there was a lot of reward when someone came back and said, like, "Thank you, you made the difference in my year." And it was like, this is dope. This is cool. There is a good purpose in it. And when you're trying to make this work and change it for the better, and then there's a constant pull from someone saying, "No, this is not how we do it this way," and you're like, "But this way doesn't work," and you have already showed it, and everybody knows it, but they're still pulling you from doing the best you can and just put yourself into this fucking square and just continue it, then it's a push and pull type of thing. And it's fucking tiring.
But also you feel like you're like a minion, like you're not really like you're not contributing meaningfully, kind of. You're just following orders like a machine, kind of.
But that was not the role of this job, and it was made the role, and it was like, this is not how it was or how we agreed to, and it's been like little by little, being fortified like that, and it's like, no, this is one is difficult, two is very stressful. You have to be there all the time, like it was complicated.
But I think it's a very good point about when you don't feel like you're doing something meaningful, as you said, or like being, again, like actually helping people or being of assistance, and like feeling like you're doing something meaningful, whatever that may be.
You have to find a purpose, even if it's tiny, to make it to make, for example, my purpose in my job right now is to be useful to my team and to help out in the tasks and works that we have, which is a lot. Because right now I don't have like a lead position, and that's perfectly fine. I'm working to it. But my role, my purpose now is to do my job well, to be useful, to fix issues and help fix other issues, and it's cool. It's nice. It's not just do this and do that and do over here and go over there. No, there is something. So when this purpose maybe ends, then burnout will kick in. You know what I mean?
And sometimes you have also different factors that just don't contribute in you feeling well about your job. Sometimes it's not only the tasks that you have, but also the resistance you get from management, for example, when you want to make things in a good way, or you try to contribute in a certain way, and then you see all this resistance, or no, you're just You just need to do what you've been asked for, and you're not asked even nicely sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is obviously could lead to a burnout. I faced the same experience, and I would say I also worked in a call center. I think I mentioned
Yeah.
this slightly before in the life transitions episode. But I faced my first burnout when I was working in a call center, and the thing that happened is I was working in an organization. I discovered marketing, and then when I was working in the call center, I had, as you said, you have a huge list of all the things you want to do in one day, and you keep doing it day after day. And that was my routine. It was waking up at 5, doing a course online on marketing, going to the gym, and then going to work, spend 10 hours there, and then coming back home, and then the day would repeat. It was just intense work, no socializing, no life satisfaction. It was purely that. At some point it felt like I was punishing myself somehow. But I was going through some different feelings, because I needed the job to sustain myself financially. I needed to educate myself, because that's gonna lead me to going out of that space. And at the same time, you cannot just take a break of like 6 months to educate yourself. You have to do them both.
Yeah.
So it's like this is happening every day. Plus, the thing that also gets in your mind sometimes, which could be encouraging from people to say, for example, when I was working in the call center, a very good friend of mine used to tell me, you have a huge potential, you should not be there. And then in your mind, you're stuck because you don't know what to do. You feel you have the same self-opinion, you have the same idea, but you cannot take a break. You have to keep doing everything until something happens. So I kept doing that for like 3 or 4 months max. And then I felt this burnout. I couldn't do anything in a whole month. And then I think what helped me was to just take it easy. I took a vacation of a week or two. I went to another city. I just changed the vibe, and I was not concerned about being productive or reading books or going to the gym. I just took a vacation of everything. And I think that's one of the things that helped me, because I also got to meet new people, and just the fact that you spend 3 months just working and studying, and when you take a vacation, you go out with some random people, you sit in a cafe, and you start being nostalgic to just sitting in a cafe talking to people. It feels super weird, but that's how you get yourself out of that toxic productivity thing. Because I think it helped me so much, but I think the way I was trying to optimize my time and fill it with different productive things, I think that was wrong. And whenever I feel that I'm reaching that level of putting different stuff in my day, just not to feel guilty that I wasn't productive enough, or the fact that I'm not doing enough. Because I think we're all driven by this, worthlessness.
Yeah.
We all want to prove something to ourselves. So when you don't do enough in your day, you start feeling guilty. And I think now I'm trying to recover from that feeling. If in a day I don't do what I was planning to do, or don't go to the gym, or do the essential things for me, and instead I try to trade it off with going out with a friend, I wouldn't feel guilty about it now, because I see the value in that as well. But again, that's how we learn. We just need to go to the extreme, live some pain, learn from it, and then start appreciating the small pleasures in our lives.
It's part of the human experience.
Yeah.
Fuck. This has been a very deep one, huh?
Yeah.
Deep, sad episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think for me, like, I obviously resonated with everything you said, Mehdi, about like especially about like rewiring your brain kind of to not, because I feel like there obviously it's like a bug in your head kind of that you're just constantly thinking like, okay, like when I have even 2 hours free in between stuff I have to do, kind of, I feel like maybe should I read something or like should I do something now? I don't know, but obviously like it's not even that like sometimes I'm not even like it wouldn't even be productive probably because I wouldn't be totally focused or like um but yeah, it just feels like okay, what is it that I can do? Maybe like if you kind of
You should practice boredom.
yeah.
Very important now.
Yeah, that's true. Especially I think with like technology as well, maybe that's also kind of a factor that plays into it nowadays because I feel like I feel worse if I'm just scrolling Instagram instead of like if you just sit and like I don't know, look at the sky.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to feel as bad if you don't
Yeah.
do anything versus when you just spent an hour on Instagram like scrolling.
It's just wasted
Then
time.
after that you feel like oh fuck, like I could have done something
Yeah, or
better.
on TikTok.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think like it's a process where you have to be kinder to yourself and also probably just like I want to say structure your day or something, but honestly, like when I structure my day, there's always this thing. It's like, you know, it never goes exactly like you planned it.
Never.
Like never.
Never.
Sometimes it is, but like oftentimes it's like, you know, it's just you feel like you're just rushing
Yeah.
to live up to your
Standard
schedule now, which is like you're chasing the schedule, and then again that also lowers the quality of your enjoyment of your day. You know, you're like, okay, what's on the agenda now?
Yeah.
Like that's also seems like a prison that you set yourself into, kind of.
Dude, I would like just to add something about what you said about like how you treat yourself. Like I've been practicing on myself to be kinder to myself. You know, because every time I make a mistake or I fuck up or something, it's like, see what you do, you fucking idiot. And this is how I talk to myself. And it's like, dude, chill. No, you're not an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Relax. You can fix this. It's an error. You know?
Yeah, it's like intense feeling.
Of like always like calling myself an imbecile or something like that. And it's like, no, you're okay. Breathe. It's okay. Now I'm like, when I make a mistake or something, hey, breathe, relax. You're okay. You got this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like clap myself in the ass.
You know, it's very interesting when it comes to the self-talk because, for example, Adriano, if I'm reaching out to you and I'm telling you I was planning to go to the gym and I didn't go, you wouldn't say the same things that you would tell yourself to me.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna be kind to me. But in general, and that's not something you do. I think I resonate with that as well. The way we talk to ourselves when we don't do things properly, it's just insane. We're not kind to ourselves. You're like, you know, you miss that. You lack discipline. You start having these negative conversations with yourself that don't lead to a good day. Because, okay, you fucked up one thing. Again, same stoic quote: take what's left and live it properly.
Yeah.
It's in the past now. You cannot change it. Just spend the day the way you should now. And one of the advice that people give, I think Jordan Peterson talked about that before, is treat yourself as you're someone who's responsible for. Mm-hmm. So when you try to give yourself advice, you feel that you're responsible for example, a little brother or something like that, and you're trying to guide him. So give yourself that guidance and you know, direct yourself somehow in a good way. But that's also related to the talk, because someone that you're responsible for, you're gonna be encouraging and motivating. You're not gonna insult the person because they don't do something. You know that's not a good solution for the problem they're having. So reprogramming the way we talk with ourselves, I think that's a very good advice that we should take it very seriously.
Yeah, dude, and also how you see each situation. It's like we always see it in a very extremist way. Like, is the best or is the worst? You know, like looks like very Sith, like, you know, from Star Wars, talking into like into the opposites, like very, if this is the best experience I've ever had, or this is the worst piece of shit food, or it's like, no, it's not. Like, breathe. It's not the end of the world if something bad happened to you, if you fucked up in something, like if you got fired, like whatever. It's not the end of the world. You're not gonna die of this. Like, you know what I mean? And this is something that I think I also personally resonate with this, because before, like, for me, it was always like this. It was always looking for the best, and then when it didn't arrive, it was the worst. And it's like, no, it's not. Like, bad things happen in life. That's okay. It's part of life. Like, you don't have to, like, dig yourself your own grave and then throw yourself in it and then cover yourself up. You know what I mean? And I think this type of way of how you see life also doesn't help when it comes to, like, when you're like depressed, you make it worse. Your mind makes it worse as it is. You have to take a deep breath and put yourself outside of the situation and see it from the outside to figure out, like, a little bit, like, okay, this happened. It's okay. We're gonna get through it. Like, we're gonna manage. Like, we need to do some stuff. You can take some time off. Like, whatever works out for you. Reach out to someone. Just don't be there and cover yourself and just, like, like, and then just feel sorry about yourself all the time. And I'm saying this because of personal experience.
Yeah. I think most of the things that we say, we just try to remind ourselves. Even when we give advice, we're giving advice to, first of all, ourselves, and then the listeners, because we also have the same problems. We share the same issues.
Yeah.
Speaking about, like, being kind of kinder to yourself and, like, taking care of yourself, there's this concept like stewardship, being like a steward for yourself, towards yourself, kind of, which is like, steward, I think it's kind of like an assistant, no? Like, traditionally that's what the word means. And, like, stewardship towards yourself is like treating yourself as if, the same quote that Jordan Peterson said, basically. It's just a different way of putting it. Like, you're kind of like assisting yourself, like, be of help to yourself, as if there was a steward, that you were a steward to yourself, kind of. Which is also a very very good way to think about it. Also, like, about flexibility, like, having a flexible mindset, because that's something that I think that maybe it takes time to work up to that, at least for me, because I feel like there's this mindset where you feel like it's kind of like, you're just like on a war or something, where you kind of you've created a castle for yourself or something, like this situation for yourself where, like, okay, my next moves, what's gonna happen. You try to do everything to, like, maintain your position, kind of, and then obviously you fuck up on the way, obviously, but then those fuck ups seem like, oh fuck, like
the end of the world.
It's like, I'm gonna die. And I think maybe it's that kind of, the flexibility has to come in part where, like, you have to take what you do seriously, but try also not take it so seriously when you do fuck up. Like, it's kind of a tricky balance, because there's an idea that, like, okay, if you take it really, really, really seriously, then you're definitely going to succeed, but then if you do that, then it's more like you're, like, harder, because now it's everything is life or death, kind of, right?
I want to just add a phrase or a quote, like, don't take life too serious. You're not going to get alive out of it. So have fun as well. Enjoy the ride, the goods and the bad. And then the other thing is that we, as living creatures, because animals also do this, we learn more and better while playing. If we do things as a play, as something that is fun, enjoyable, or just fooling, playing around, we'll learn better and faster than just taking it seriously. you can be an expert in something if you take it very seriously and to the dot, but your brain is developed to learn better as a kid while playing. That's why cops fight each other when they're kids and playing around, because they're learning how to fight, they're learning how to hunt. And this is also for us. And in a perspective of martial arts, this is, when it comes to Muay Thai rarely there's like a hard sparring session. They just fool around, laugh, like throw each other to the ground. They never, in a session, a training session, they don't punch themselves to death how they do it on a fight, because they're learning how to fight. And this idea is being implemented little by little also in MMA with certain fighters like Holloway. He says that he hasn't sparred heavy in many years now. He just plays around and does like sparring and laughs with his like fellow fighters and trainees and whatever. And this is something that I like to share in this podcast, because I find it cool and I'm trying to apply it in my own life. You know, like with my work software, like there's different types of software, like the one that is like the proper one for client base, and then like one to try things, and then another one that mirrors it or whatever. When I'm not sure of how to use it, I go to the one that doesn't go live, basically, and play around with it. And I have learned so much doing that, instead of just waiting for someone to do it in front of me in real time, or being all fucking scared that I know if I fuck up, then a client is gonna lose money or whatever, you know. And this is something I'm trying to apply in everything, just like do it in a fun, playful way, serious play. And I think it's a cool idea. So just wanted to throw that there.
I think that's definitely a good one, because if you add this kind of gamification to anything that you're doing, the process is more enjoyable. You're not gonna feel drained just doing something and doing it over and over again. And I think that's one of the things that I wanted to ask you guys to share, maybe, since we all experienced burnout, maybe we can give some insightful advice on how to notice that you're going through a burnout. So I think one of the things that we can share with the listeners is the red flags when it comes to burnout, when to know that you need to, that you're getting there, you're gonna feel this state soon, or the factors that contribute into you being in this burnout. So I think, first of all, if you're not treated fairly and properly in the workspace, I think that's a clear red flag that you should start looking for something else. I think when you're not feeling satisfied about your job, you're just doing something for the sake of, I understand that sometimes the options are quite limited when it comes to jobs, but I think that's something you should consider if you feel that you're drained just thinking about the normal tasks you do every day, and you go to work thinking, shit, I have to do this again. I think also one of the things is people. I think if you're surrounded by people that for some reason you don't tolerate, or they're not really understanding, maybe your managers, I think if you wake up every day going to work thinking, I hope I'm not gonna see that person, I think that's a clear red flag that's gonna get you to a burnout. I think there are other timing things that maybe if you overwork over your normal schedule, I think that might lead you to a burnout as well. If you do a lot of stacking in your day when it comes to working, maybe going to the gym, doing other stuff, your whole time is blocked by different tasks. I think even if you enjoy what you're doing at that point, but if you're just stacking everything during the day, you're not leaving any buffer for, like you're literally time blocking breathing or doing the normal things in your day, I think that would lead you to a burnout. And for stress, I think that's something you can notice. There are different ways to manage stress. Maybe we can talk about it as in a separate episode, but please, guys, share if you have any insights or any advice.
I would just like to add that when it's not enjoyable or when it's not fun, when it stops being fun or when it stops being enjoyable, you don't have to work in your passion, like to be happy in your workspace, in your workplace. It doesn't have to be what you love and, like your dream job or whatever, just to be content where you are and doing a good job and enjoying the work that you do. But when it becomes like a hassle, as you were saying, when it becomes that is like, I hate this fucking place, then that is a big no-no. That will come to burnout. When it comes to like personal goals, when you're like, I need to do exercise 4 times a day, and when you're not enjoying doing it, then it's like, dude, okay, think about this. Like, do you need to change the type of sport that you're doing? Do you need to change the frequency? What's going on? Because you're not enjoying it. When you start doing things by force instead of by pleasure, that's a big red flag for me. Like, as I said, like when it comes to work, it's a little bit different because sometimes you need to do the work that you need to do because it's a necessity, right? But you have to find something out of it. Like, even if, as I said, you don't have to work in your passion, but you have to, maybe you're good at it and that's something that you enjoy. Maybe the coworkers that you are makes it an enjoyable experience. Maybe you're learning something, but when you, as you said, maybe they treat you like shit, or like you see someone and you're like, I don't want to see his face or her face ever again, then yeah, it will be a catalyst for the burnout experience. Also, when you put too much on your plate, especially when you're a beginner, when you're like, I want to do 13 fucking things to change my life. It's like, no, you can't, man. It's too much. You're going to burn out. Take 1, 2, or 3 and stick with them and be consistent. Not because you missed one day or a couple of days even, means that's it. You have to start over. No, breathe. Just like, like, hey, I want to do exercise every day. Okay, if I go 3 times a week, it's good. If I go less than 3 times a week, I need to reevaluate myself. Then the optimal idea will be to go 5. But if you go 3, that's still on your range of good, of you're being consistent on this goal. This is an example. This works with everything. You know what I mean? If you want to learn a new language, be like, okay, I don't have enough time. Maybe like my energy at the end of the day is low, and then like learning a difficult language, learning a language becomes difficult. Then change the schedule properly. Be like, okay, minimum I have to take classes 2 or 3 times a week, and separate them between them. Like find ways to make it enjoyable, to make it you to be consistent at it, or you will burn out. This is how I've been experiencing my life. That when you want to do 15 things at the same time, or when you want to learn it now, like I want to be good at, I don't know, writing. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to take intense classes for a month and I'm going to start writing my book in month 2, and then I want to publish on month 3. It's like, enjoy the ride. The goal is, the end goal is just something that comes out of it. You should be able to enjoy the process. That's where the beauty of life is, in my opinion. That's, if you're not enjoying the process, you're gonna burn out. That's
definitely
the end. I'll just say something quickly as a follow-up to that, and then maybe Aslan, you can share the insights. It's like literally like going to the gym. I understand the obsession in the beginning that people want to make muscles and feel good about themselves, and same like the corporate world or building a business. You want to learn too much in the beginning, so you bypass the time and the struggle of still learning. You want to do everything at once. You put so much things on your plate. But it happens in work. It happens in going to the gym, for example. If you just go the first day, you want to build muscle and you start lifting very heavy, and then you end up being sore for a whole week. Maybe it's better to just do it gradually and go lift the weights that you can actually lift, and bit by bit you start going for heavier ones, and at the same time you're still going to the gym, you're not going to feel this huge soreness. But if you go for the top from the beginning, you're just going to spend some time not doing anything because you forced yourself to do something that you're not capable of yet. And I think in the corporate world, sometimes people are tricked into that. You know, when you're getting onboarded and you start hearing, you know, here we appreciate people who take initiatives and they get rewarded for working more. And then you think that that's the main approach. That's what you should be doing. It's taking initiatives, doing more tasks than what you've been asked for just to get rewarded. But then you just understand that they're trying to put you in a certain standard. And then if you're not meeting that standard, then you're not doing enough. And then you're going to end up being burnout. So some people are tricked into that. Some people are just obsessed with the idea of learning and improving their skills. But both ways, they don't lead to a good outcome. Take it gradually and take it easy as well.
Yeah, that was very, very good advice, guys. I think, like, for me, one thing I would just reiterate, which I find quite interesting, is like, enjoying. Find a way to enjoy what you're doing, because oftentimes it takes some effort to find that, because it's not something that you instantly see. That, oh, I will enjoy this. Like, and some things, honestly, it's hard to enjoy. It's just part of the thing where, like, this is something that I have to do, which is not going to be forever, but I will do this, like, for this week or whatever, let's say. But there's no way around. Maybe I'm not seeing it, for example, but there's some things that's just not fun. Like, at least for me, you know. I mean, I know people who have, like, whole careers based around this stuff, but there are some things that I personally wouldn't find fun, but then I have to do it. But anyway, maybe if you make it more of like, you know, you're doing this to work up to this thing, you know, to kind of, that's the goal. So you have to think more about the end result to motivate yourself, kind of. And also changing things up, I also find that quite nice, because I feel like sometimes for me, changing my routine when it comes to working out helps to actually feel a bit more motivated, you know, because if you keep doing the same thing, it starts feeling like, you know, a Groundhog Day or whatever they call it. Like, like, okay, this is my routine and then this is what I do. But then sometimes, like, trying different routines can actually help, at least for me. Like, it kind of, it's like a new thing to explore. I think exploration is kind of a cool thing, because, like, you can, oh, I haven't tried this routine yet, let's try and see what happens. I kind of like that. Like, it adds an extra dimension to it, changes it from like a routine to something interesting. So I think that, and I guess actually you can apply that to not just working out, but a lot of things where you can make it more about, like, you know, learning or investigating something, exploring something. And yeah, I think for me, probably I would think, I mean, this was already mentioned, but the meaning, trying to find some kind of meaning in what you're doing, it would help a lot. It could be like whatever that may be for you, like, but I think the important thing to remember is that it's in your mind. At the end of the day, you create your reality. So it's the way you think about things that shapes your reality. And I think most of the hard work actually comes from your mental work around the way you think about things, because that directly affects your enjoyment of work or whatever, working out. But I think that, like, thinking through truly deeply about what is it that creates that meaning for you, is gonna be something that, you know, just drives you, just makes it easier to get out of the bed, like to do stuff, you know. I think that without that, it's just, you know, a spiral downwards, slow yeah. But yeah, I think those are the main things for me, I think, to avoid burning out. And it's obviously never as smooth as we make it.
No, never.
In our mind, or when we're talking about it now, it's never as smooth as that. But I think that take it easy, take it day by day, and like know when it's time to recover versus when it's time to like attack. I think it's important to, if you know those times, you can kind of, you know, prepare yourself, reflect and recover, and then you're like fully energized and you can actually do stuff. So I think it's easy to get lost in like, you know, every day of my life has to be productive. Where I'm like, every day I have to do something. And some days you can, if you just put yourself in a mindset that like, okay, today I can just spend more time not really like achieving things, but like, which is, it's still also achieving, just thinking about what you want to do, or thinking about how you want to approach things, how you want to achieve things. I think it's still advancement, but it just doesn't seem that way in our mind because it's not really like active work that you're doing. But yeah, I think it can be very, very, very beneficial to think about those things to avoid eventual burnout, right? That you can face. But yeah,
good one. I think that's also, it's going to leave us with more topic ideas like meaning and purpose for the next episodes.
Yeah, meaning would be very interesting, I think, actually.
Definitely. All right, I hope you found value and some enjoyment also in this podcast.
Some meaning.
I also want to just give a shout out to Adriana for helping us with this topic, or come up with this topic. So thank you. It was a deep one.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you want to do like her and you have questions or any topic ideas, please leave them in the comment section. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening in the podcasting platforms, make sure to leave us a review or a comment. I'm not sure if there are comments in Spotify, but anyways, show some love and some support to the guys of the Human Library podcast, and see you in the next one.
See you guys.
Thank you.